AEW Revolution Weekend is here, guys. Welcome back to the Kick-Ass Podcast. I am so happy to be back with you guys. This is the beginning of what is going to be a very busy weekend for myself. It is, of course, like I said, the beginning of AEW Revolution Weekend. Tonight was the start of that with AEW Rampage being live in Orlando, Florida. And it's always cool when we get a live Rampage. There's just obviously something different about having a live show as opposed to a tape show, and being there in person, you think the hour goes by quick at home, guys. Being there in person, it literally just flies by, and especially with that opening match that we got tonight with that triple threat. Man, we're definitely going to get into that in a few minutes here, but that, just spoiler alert, that may have been like one of my favorite triple threat matches that, at least that I can remember in quite some time. That was just amazing. Those three guys just tore it up, and I would love to run that back again in the future. But again, guys, welcome to the show. I hope you guys have had an awesome week, and there has been a lot going on in the wrestling world itself. We, of course, had the Pat McAfee interview with Vince McMahon himself in studio that ended up going almost a whole hour and a half, which was shocking. I watched the interview myself yesterday when I got home from work. I messed up my break, and I tried to go right when the interview was starting, mistimed it, but I wouldn't have been able to watch it all itself, so I'm kind of glad I waited till I got home, because that interview, it was just so captivating, and, that's obviously a whole different podcast itself, which I'll definitely try to get to this weekend too, but that was pretty cool, and it was very, very eye-opening to see Vince just kind of talk as a human, as weird as that sounds, but just not the Mr. McMahon character or in the WWE world, but rather in a completely different world where, I don't want to say he was vulnerable, but just where he was kind of just out of his comfort zone, almost in a way. And it was just a fascinating interview, and I definitely recommend you guys check it out. I don't know if there's a podcast form of his show, but obviously definitely do yourself a favor and check out the YouTube video itself, the Pat McAfee show. It's a very stellar, very interesting watch. Again, Pat McAfee, he just, I don't know what he has. Like I said in the other show, he just has this like Jedi mind trick, man, that you're controller, some shit. Who else could get an interview like that for that long out of Vince? It's kind of perplexing in a way, but that's, again, we're not going to get into that here. This is only about AEW, or supposed to be, but just definitely needed to touch on that, and wanted to give you guys an update on that, because I definitely want to dig into that interview itself. But like I said, moving forward and looking forward to the AEW weekend itself, we, of course, have the Fan Fest event that's starting tomorrow at 12, so if you guys are in the Orlando area or you came down for the pay-per-view, definitely hit me up. If you're going to be at any of the shows or the events this weekend, you can find me on Twitter at ASHMANNS, and the show's Twitter page itself also, which is at @KickAssPodcast_. But yeah, let me know if you're going to be at any of the shows. It'd be cool to see you guys. But like I said, tomorrow is the Fan Fest itself, and then there's a couple events that I'm hitting up after that, and then of course Sunday is the big day, right? The Revolution pay-per-view itself, and I'm gonna definitely do a breakdown and a preview show for the card, so I'm not gonna get into that right now, but which we'll get into here in a second too, but the card that we have, guys, for the Revolution pay-per-view is so stacked, and once you feel like you're looking forward to this match, you're like, oh shit, well then there's this match too. So there's a lot of big matches that are on the card. So like I said, we're definitely going to dig into that on a different show too. But tonight was the start of the Revolution weekend. Like I said, we kicked off the weekend with AEW Rampage, and the opening match itself was, like I said, something else. And to hold off before I get into that really quick, I did want to mention the AEW Dark Tapings that they did prior to the Rampage show itself. I'm not going to get into that because I don't really like giving away spoilers, or I know it's not really that big of a deal, but I don't really like doing that myself, so you can definitely check that out on Twitter. Like I said, it may not be that big of a deal, but I don't really like to talk about a show that actually hasn't technically happened yet. So, but I will say that there's a couple big moments on the AEW Dark Tapings itself. So I would definitely check it out if you're like a Danhausen fan, AQA fan. So just a few moments that stood out. So definitely check that out. But moving right along to AEW Rampage itself, we opened with the triple threat match, of course, for the TNT Championship. Your champion being Sammy Guevara defending against Darby Allin and Andrade El Idolo. And I liked the way they transitioned for us that were live in attendance. It was so smooth. They had, right after the Dark Tapings, they had about 10 minutes left to spare. They had Tony Khan come out and say a few things to the fans, pretty much just thanking us for coming and getting us pumped for the weekend and all that good stuff, which is always cool to see. You know, he really, seeing how pumped he is, just, it's so infectious, man. It gets you pumped regardless, like you weren't already, right? But there's just something about him, man. It's just, like I said, it's just infectious. And once you see it in person, it's easy to see why so many people want to work for him, because it's like, this dude, like, he gets you pumped, man, and that's the whole point. Like, you're there to have fun and put on a good show. So it's definitely cool to see that. But like I said, Tony Khan came out there, said a couple words, and then Justin Roberts got back on the mic, and he does such a good job too at keeping the fans engaged between the matches for the Dark Tapings. And again, the transition that he's able to do is pretty smooth. So shout out to him too. But he came out and they started the entrances for the individuals in the triple threat match. So obviously when the Rampage show itself started, you guys probably saw them all in the ring already. We got to see their entrance, nothing different, nothing newsworthy or anything like that, but Darby Allin got such a big pop and a big ovation. I would say maybe up there for top 3 of the night. Keith Lee, I would say, definitely got the biggest reaction. I would kind of thinking, as an overview right now, I think Keith Lee is definitely the one who got the biggest reaction, but man, Darby Allin, and I could be wrong, you know, if you were there, definitely let me know if you think it was reversed there, because it's probably a toss-up, but man, Darby, the initial reaction when his music hit was, it was just big, man. He's such a star. This match, I'm not even going to even attempt to break it down, and like I've mentioned, I haven't been able to actually watch it on the TV itself, so the actual show that aired. I'm just kind of going off of what I witnessed in person. So if there's any ads or any hype for any of the other matches on the card, like on the on the Revolution card or anything like that, and then obviously whatever the announcers or the commentators rather said, I haven't been privy to that yet. But just going off of the experience in the crowd, man. Again, like I said, everyone loved Darby, and of course that moment in the match where Guevara set up Darby Allin for a superplex, and then Andrade came in and slipped underneath of him and literally picked Guevara up with Guevara still holding Darby Allin on his shoulders in the superplex for him, and just slammed them down. And it was pretty much in like a Tower of Doom spot. And man, what the fuck, guys? If you didn't see this match, please stop what you're doing. No offense will be taken. Stop what you're doing and go watch this match. Like, it was insane. Like I said, it was one of my favorite triple threat matches that I've seen in quite some time. But of course, that was just one of the moments that stood out. And going back to the beginning of the match, I like the way the babyfaces kind of used common sense, right? They obviously, Andrade has the size advantage compared to the other two guys, and he's obviously the bad guy. And it was just refreshing to kind of see the two babyfaces use their brains, right, and actually team up and go against the heel, quote unquote, in the match, and the bad guy, and corner him, right? Like, it was cool seeing Andrade outsmart Sammy and Darby, but then flip the script and then outsmart him, and kind of just go back and forth there for a little bit at the beginning. So it was nothing major, really, but it just kind of stood out to me because you don't really see that too much. So it was just something cool, and it was a nice way to kind of start the match too, in my opinion. But the ending of the match came when Guevara hit the GTH on Andrade and Darby Allin. It was pretty close. We all, at least in the arena, definitely thought for a second that Allin was going to get the W, but it was so smart. And again, like, babyface is just thinking, right, and using common sense. You just love to see it. But Darby actually cleared Guevara out of the ring, right? He threw him to ringside and actually attempted to hit the coffin drop onto Andrade. He hit it. Darby went for the pin, but Guevara ended up coming in at the last second and hit the swanton off of the top rope onto Allin, and of course Andrade pushed Darby Allin to the side and got the pin on Andrade to retain his championships. Side note, I wonder, and I kind of hope that they do something with the TNT title. I personally love the look of it right now, but with Guevara walking around with two, it's just kind of awkward now, like, especially with Cody not being there. Like, there's no reason for him to have two titles now. Unless I'm mistaken, they aren't calling him, like, the undisputed TNT champion or anything like that, so I mean, it looks cool, I guess, but I don't really see the point now. Even if you were just to, like, quietly only start carrying one to the ring now, like, and they don't really address it, I would be okay with that, give him a pass with kind of everything that's going on, but it's just kind of weird now, like, why he's still coming out, unless I'm missing something. Again, and like I said, if I am, definitely let me know, but it's just, I don't really know the point of carrying two titles now. Again, they're beautiful, don't get me wrong, I love the look of the TNT title, especially with the black strap, and I like how each champion has kind of made it their own, but I, again, don't really see the need of it. But, again, that's just a side note, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the match itself, but it was just something that kind of stood out to me again tonight, just with, like, there's really no reason. Next up, we had Alex Abrahantes coming to the ring along with Penta El Ceremio and Pac. I'm just calling him Park. I have no idea why. And Pac. The entrance for this was so cool. I love what they're doing with Penta and him kind of changing up his persona now. It's him along with Alex and the look that they're kind of going. And I meant to write it down. Penta's not going, he's going by a different version of his name, obviously, since he's going with the darker side, and it's blank. It begins with the O. I can't remember the exact pronunciation of it because I don't have it written down handy, at least with me right now, but the version of his character and how he's changed it, and especially the entrance tonight was so cool, and the visual was just so dope, so I'm definitely a fan of that. But later on, I kind of liked the look of Malachi Black, right? It was nothing we haven't seen 1,000 times at this point, but I love the video package that we got with Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews, of course, and then all of a sudden them showing up at the ring. For whatever reason, I just wasn't really expecting them to show up at the ring. I probably should have, like I said, because we've seen it literally probably 1,000 times as wrestling fans, but it was just cool, right? And it was just something different, and I love the little, not really twist, but the I don't even say swerve, I'll just stick with twist, I guess. Forgive me, guys, it's been a long day and I'm a little tired, but I love how Alex kind of switched up and said, I mentioned there was three guys, but I didn't, not necessarily the three guys in the ring, and that set up the debut of Eric Redbeard, formerly known as Eric Rowan from the Wyatt family, of course, and man, I hope the reaction that he got in the arena at least transferred over somewhat decent for you guys at home, because the second we realized it was him, right, when his name showed on the, I guess, Titantron? Would they call it Titantron on the screen? When it popped up on the screen, rather, I'll just stick with that, play it safe. When it popped up on the screen, man, it was a cool moment, and you just kind of think, like, or at least I did after the whole segment itself was over, like, man, like, it would have been so cool if, like, Brody Lee is still here with us and would have been able to see that, and just been there for that moment, because I would love to see, like, what they could have done together in AEW, and if that would have meant Eric joining the Dark Order, and how that would have looked, because they could have just done so much with that, but, and again, rest in peace to Brody Lee, but it sucks, dude, it sucks that, that happened, but, again, This is a happy moment because Eric finally made his, well, I'm not going to say finally, but he made his debut here tonight, and it was a very cool moment. I don't think anyone was really expecting it, at least I wasn't even thinking of it. Didn't really know that actually necessarily needed him in this situation, but it's definitely a cool addition, and he is massive, and he seemed to have added some tattoos and shit, so his look is just, he looks like a badass, man, and I really enjoyed this segment, and I hope we get a match out of these 6 guys soon, which I'm pretty sure we will, if it's maybe not, if it's not added to like the pre-show or the what do they call it? The buy-in? I think it's what they call their pre-shows prior to the pay-per-views. So maybe if we don't get it on the buy-in or something like that, we'll get it on Dynamite next week or Rampage next week or something like that. But definitely a cool moment, and congrats to Eric Redbeard for finally making his debut with AEW. Again, guys, forgive me if I'm skipping over anything that aired on the actual TV show. Like I said, I have not watched the show itself, so if I'm skipping some big moments or anything like that, if it wasn't a video package that aired in the arena, I haven't got a chance to actually see it yet, because I wanted to kind of get this recorded and out to you guys tonight, before tomorrow starts, and like I said, the kind of busy weekend coming up, so just kind of wanted to give you guys a head up there in case I'm skipping over something, but the next matchup that we got in our lineup, at least, was Keith Lee versus JD Drake. And like I said, man, like, Keith Lee is a star too. And I don't know if it was just everyone was super pumped and super excited to see big stars, right? But even no way. There's no way to downplay it. Like, Keith Lee got the reaction he got because dude's a star, like, and I think the sky's the limit for him, and I'm so happy he's in this environment, right? And he's in this company, and he's just in this environment for lack of other words, that he's able to do what he needs and he wants to do. It's just cool to see him actually be happy. And there was just a vibe, and like, in my opinion at least, there was just like a different look on his face, and just the way he kind of played to the fans a little bit more and just kind of embraced it a little bit more, and just, I don't know, like, the whole bask in his glory thing, like, I feel like that was a real thing tonight. I feel like everyone was just basking in everyone's glory, right? It was just a cool feeling and a cool vibe, and shout out to JD Drake, because that dude took some hella tough chops to the chest there, so I'm sure he's gonna be feeling that in the morning in the next few days. So shout out to him for putting in the work there and going through that. But of course, it's no surprise here, Keith Lee got the W here. But yeah, I can't wait to see what happens with Keith Lee going forward. But after the match, we had Peter Avalon, Ryan Nemeth, and Benoni, I think that his last name is, coming out to attack Lee at the ring. It was just kind of random. Again, I don't know if I missed something with these 3 guys attacking him besides the relationship to JD Drake, obviously, but if that was the only reason they were coming out to attack Lee, then I guess I get it, but, it was what it was, and there's nothing there, no storyline I see going forward or anything like that. But we did end up getting Orange Cassidy to come out right at the end of the segment. It was pretty random itself as well. Oh, I'm sorry, right before that, though, I believe, right before Cassidy came out, Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs came out, which I signed me the fuck up for Keith Lee and Powerhouse Hobbs, because, man, you want to talk about, like, big dudes, like, just beating the shit out of each other, like, I cannot wait for that match, so sign me up for that. I'm here for that, but that, like I said, led to Orange Cassidy coming out. He walked to the stage and decided he didn't really want to get involved and turned around and went to the back. And you know what? I don't blame him. It's fuck it. It's a Friday night. Like, it's late. Like, at that point, it was probably 10:30-ish. It's late, man. Like, you had a long day, I'm sure. Probably a long day of traveling. Definitely got a long weekend ahead. It is what it is. So, dude went to the back. Hopefully, he went to catering. Like Eddie Kingston mentioned later or earlier, I don't really remember where. I think it's later since I haven't gotten to it yet. He mentioned there was like some pretty good pie in the back in the catering, so hopefully that's where Cassidy went. But after that, we ended up getting, I believe it went straight to the main event. I'm going to double check my notes, but I believe we went straight to the main event after that. But I feel like I said, I know we definitely got the Eddie Kingston video package in the back with, well, I guess maybe not technically a video package, but an interview with Tony Schiavone, just pretty much hyping up his match against Chris Jericho coming up at Revolution, and I'm just, again, Eddie Kingston has quickly in the past couple months, I would say actually past 6-8 months now, if not longer, definitely become a bigger fan of Eddie Kingston. And I liked him from the beginning, but I would say I was a fan, but not like as big of a fan as I am now of him. Because I just didn't really understand him at first, but now that we've, at least me personally, like now that I've seen more of like who he is and like kind of watched some of his shit in the past and just kind of, done a little bit more research on him, dude, just like, in my opinion, dude could be a big star for AEW, if maybe they weren't so crowded, and not even me saying that in a negative way, but just kind of stating facts, if they weren't as crowded, maybe it'd be, things would be different, but, and obviously I know he's gotten a title shot in like a world heavyweight title shot in the past, actually against Moxley, but there's just something about Eddie, man. Like, Eddie just has this presence in his vibe. He's just a real dude. So just anything Eddie does, I'm a big fan of, and I'm so looking forward to his match against Jericho on Sunday, and he better fucking win. That's all I'm gonna say. We then had the kind of like a recap of what happened with CM Punk and MJF from last week, and the bloody CM Punk from last week, I should say. And then it kind of went, for us at least, I think I may have I've honestly missed a part, to be honest with you guys, in the arena, but I don't really know what happened, to be honest with you guys. We kind of saw a recap, and then it just went straight to the CM Punk interview in the training room, which, again, if you haven't seen the show yet, guys, this promo that he cut in the back, it just fucking amazing. You have to go see it. I'm not even going to try to touch on anything on it because it was just almost like a masterpiece. It was so real and just so it hit so many different bullet points, and just, again, sold the match. Like, not, if for whatever reason you weren't sold on buying the pay-per-view, I think this promo itself by Punk probably sold you on that. So if not, then I don't really know what else would, to be frank with you guys. But definitely, like I said, do yourself a favor and check out that segment from Punk, because it was so well done. But again, that led to another backstage segment that we had with the TBS champion Jade Cargill, with Mark Sterling being interviewed by Tony Schiavone. Of course, she was going to get interrupted by Anna Jay. I couldn't really hear everything, but it sounded like there was, obviously, Sterling had mentioned the no contact clause or something, to that effect, that they had with Tay Conte, but it was something about 48 hours that they couldn't touch, and then Anna Jay showed up and asked what day it was, and then they answered, and all of a sudden, Conte just super kicked Cargill and knocked her down. So I'm kind of confused with the whole 48 hours. Again, like I said, I couldn't really hear exactly the first part of what he was saying, but kind of a confusing segment, and to me, you could have probably left this off the show itself and maybe just done like an individual interview with both of them and, divided it into 15, 20, 30 seconds each. I don't know, like, I didn't get this. Maybe once I go back and rewatch it, the whole segment itself, it'll make more sense, but wasn't really feeling this, and I'm not gonna say it took me out of it, but it was just kind of like whatever at that point. It was just kind of moving on. But speaking of moving on, the next match we had was Serena D versus Layla Gray in her 5-minute challenge. The Professor Serena D, I should say. This was a pretty quick match. Obviously, that's the whole point. I don't even think this one went 2 minutes, maybe like a minute and a half. Wouldn't even surprise me if it went a minute, to be honest with you guys. But the whole idea here was just setting up Deeb to pretty much be attacked by Sheeta, right? Deeb was putting on Serenity Lock to Gray, and next thing we know, Sheeta's music hit, and she came running down to the ring with her kendo stick in hand. She was decked out, by the way, in all red with the red shoes, which was pretty dope, so shout out to her attire. Sheeta just went to town with the kendo stick, right? Like, just beat the shit out of Deeb. Deeb ended up running through the crowd to the back. And from where I was sitting, I could see her leaving through the crowd. Poor thing slipped on the floor. Like, it's so slick out there. You gotta be careful. Just ran straight to the back, so she was okay. But cool segment there, and it was cool to see Sheeta back. But I don't they've already had so many matches. I don't know how many more you can get out of them. Maybe if you have another match and that'd be the one-off. Because as much as I enjoyed those two feuding together, I'm kind of ready to see them do something else. And I was kind of happy that with the direction that Dee was going in, right? With this whole the professor gimmick and the 5-minute challenge and everything. So I hope they kind of keep going that route. And like I said, if you're gonna have one more match, then do it and then just kind of be done with it. But after that, we of course had the Eddie Kingston segment, which I already went over. And after that, we had the Mark Henry segment, which is referencing and interviewing the individuals or whomever is in the main event that is slotted for that night. Tonight we had Christian Cage versus Ethan Page. I can't wait to hear the commentators hopefully try to do their best and not stumble over the Cage and the Page tongue tie, because I know I would. This match, I don't really know why we had it, you know? Like, it was just kind of random, unless, again, I missed something. Don't really know why we had it. Christian has been doing his own thing with Jurassic Express, and Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky have been doing their own thing with Dan Lambert. So, again, I may have completely forgotten about something, but this was just kind of random to me, besides it just being a qualifier match. And if that's the case, then that's cool, you know, it is what it is. But again, this match, it was fine. It wasn't really anything special. It just kind of was what it was. I was kind of surprised, though, when Christian Cage made his way to the ring and his music hit and everything. The fans didn't really react like he was. I don't want to say like he wasn't a star, but I was expecting something kind of bigger and just kind of like a louder reaction. So I'm definitely curious to see the reaction that he's going to get at Revolution, since he did, of course, getting the W in this match here, which, again, I kind of wish it would have gone to Ethan Page here, to be honest with you guys. Don't really see the need for Christian Cage to be in the Revolution ladder match itself, but I don't know, it is what it is. I guess it's not really that big of a deal, but again, I just kind of would have preferred Page instead of Cage. Say that 5 times fast. In the ladder match that we're going to get on Sunday. But after the match, we had the tag team champions themselves, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, coming down to the ring to kind of congratulate Christian and just kind of give him, you know, a pat on the back and all that good shit. But then after that, we had Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and the Young Bucks kind of interrupting their feel-good moment coming down to the ring. Matt Jackson had some kick-ass shoes on that, of course, matched his belt, so shout out to him. Again, the attire on the show tonight was pretty dope, so everyone there kind of dressed like it was a big deal and a big weekend, so it was pretty cool. But they just had a little brief interaction, nothing major. Jungle Boy there was some slight distraction with the tag team titles, you know. It was, I believe, Kyle O'Reilly was the first one to grab hold of one of the tag team titles and just kind of, again, cause distraction. Jungle Boy was able to hit the dive through the ropes and pretty much get the upper hand there, grab the tag titles back. Everything is good to go for Sunday. And that was the end of the Rampage show itself, the go home edition of the Rampage episode. And I believe directly after that was a countdown to the Revolution pay-per-view show on TBS. Probably going to throw that on after I wrap this up here and get it uploaded for you guys. But I'm definitely looking forward to that show itself. I believe it's just an hour, but AEW does a really good job with their production and these type of shows. Me and Mimi actually at the WWE podcast show have talked about it in the past, and just the shows that they put out like this, and whether it's been just strictly to YouTube or if they've been able to air it on TV like they have in the past few pay-per-view lead-ins, it's just cool to see how they wrap everything up. And I love when they do a little bit extra too, and you know, in regards to like sit down interviews, the one they do with JR, I'm a big fan of. I think JR is at his prime when he's conducting sit down interviews, because he just adds a level of importance to whatever the match is that they're discussing, right? And just another level. Like, he brings so much credibility and history and just respect and just the business side of it, right? Like he's that dude, and it's cool to see him in that environment. So I hope we get at least, especially with the main event. I was about to say, I don't even know what I was about to say. It's been a long night, guys. We're wrapping up here, but with the two Adams, right? Adam Page and Adam Cole for the AEW Heavyweight Championship. I definitely hope we get a sit-down interview with those two guys. But anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. I will definitely be uploading more shows this weekend. Not sure exactly how many, probably just like maybe 2 or 3, depending on how the weekend goes. But I'm definitely going to try to get some more content out to you guys since I would be attending everything, because I was just, again, we here in Florida have been pretty lucky with the events that we've gotten so far with AEW. So again, shout out AEW and thank you AEW and all you guys for choosing Orlando. Like, for me personally, like, I'm just super stoked to be so close to everything and just kind of be fortunate enough to go, right? Like, they make it so affordable and so easy for fans to go and have a good time. So shout out to them and you guys for listening, and I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.